Living in a time that's so unique. Climate changes and disease got me down on my knees. All across the world is lost in pain, looking for the sunshine through the rain. What help us find a way? 'Cause it's too hot bright day. Oh, gotta find a way to escape. Wanna party all night when this goes away. Let us smoke, let us smoke, let us light. Bring us love, bring us peace and the light. Through the night, we'll do it together. We'll find a cure on the better. Eradicate it forever. Let us all work together.
Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to The Well. We are so glad to be back with you guys on this August 13th,
Yes.
2020.
Yes.
We hope everybody's had a good day. Hey, listen, we want to greet you, and then we ask that you take a moment to like and to share this on your page, on your Facebook page. If you're on the YouTube, share it with the folks that you can text message them the link. If you are on Twitter, we're on Twitter tonight, I believe, and we're also on Periscope, thanks to the Amplify Network. So we're just excited to be with you tonight. We're just really, really, really excited to be with you tonight. So you guys can see there's a little commotion going on behind me. We're just trying to make sure everybody is following what we're doing. So listen, tonight's topic, we're talking about, has COVID-19 stolen the stage? Has COVID-19 stolen the stage? And we've got a lot of artists out here, creative artists. As you know, The Well is a creative arts and conscious awareness type ministry. And so we work with a lot of artists. And so we want to talk tonight about whether or not these artists are still getting the work, still able to make it through this COVID season. They've been impacted greatly, and we really want to talk about that. So I am Pastor Ramon, or Pastor Ray, however you would like to call me. I go by both. And
I am JoJo. Javon Pender, a.k.a. JoJo, EP, lead pastor, executive pastor. What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing? Keep going.
Cool. So, again, we want you to check in. If you follow us and you follow the event, make sure you check into the event that we established for this. It helps us to kind of keep track of who comes and who's visible with us. Like this post, like the Amplify Network, like the Encounter the Well, and share this through your messenger, share this with your friends. All right, so a little bit about us real quick before we go into our conversation. You want to share that? You want me to share it? We want everybody to encounter the well. We want you to become the well, and then we want you to emerge and share the well. And those words are synonymous. Encounter Jesus, become more like Jesus, emerge and share Jesus. Encounter love, become love, emerge and share love. Whatever positive words you can put there, that's pretty much what we want you to put there. All right, that's our slogan: encounter, become, emerge, and share. All right, a little bit more about us.
So a little bit more about us. Here at The Will, we believe in the 5 Ps. The 5 Ps are power, peace, promise, purpose, and
passion,
purpose, promise, peace, and power. Everything that we do here, every conversation we have, every encounter we have, be it live or in person when we're going through the COVID-19 pandemic, should lead you, should convict you to try to find one of those things in you and what God is trying to point you in those directions for yourself. Now that we've got past that, let's go into a word of prayer. Father God, we come right now, God, just to say thank you. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this time. We thank you for this topic. And we thank you for these people that are here connected, watching, and looking, God. God, we pray a hedge of protection over everyone under the sound of my voice and their families and the people that are connected to them. God, we ask right now as we go into the encounter, God, that you be here, that you open up our eyes, that you open up our minds, that you give revelation, that you convict, and you just be God all by yourself. And if you do that, God, we will continue to give your name the praise because you're worthy of it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. So listen, we've got a great panel of folks that are with us tonight, and we're going to bring them in. I do want to tell you this. Listen, the well has been set up because we don't want to be always too preachy. We believe that God exists in everybody, right? In all different ways. If you got a relationship with him, you can hear him for yourself. Well, we don't need to tell you how to hear from God. We want to be the people that invoke that. So we believe that we can do that by asking all the right questions. Because a lot of times when you ask the right questions, it leads people to self-reflect and sort of find their own answers and find out the relationship with God. And the more you hear people in conversation, the more you get to hear how folks are hearing God through all sorts of ways. So let me say good evening to Carolyn Sams, who joined us, and all the other folks that are joining us. And we're going to bring in our panel again. Tonight's conversation, how has COVID-19 stolen the stage? And we've got all sorts of artists from everywhere that we want to join us right now. What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're live. Hey, y'all, loosen up. Come
I was
on.
going to say, I need some energy. Y'all sound like
real dry bone.
Listen, why don't we take a second and just everybody introduce yourself? So we will start with the illustrious person that's in the box right beside us, and then we'll make our way all the way over to the gentleman that's underneath us. So that's Kim, Alvin, and Hezekiah. As you can see their names on the screen there. But listen, take a moment, introduce yourselves by name, and introduce your. Hold on, real quick, because yeah, you got to turn your volume down, Grandma, because we can hear you. We hear you. Sorry, guys, that's family. My grandmother's a great fan of watching every single evening, so I'm always glad to have her. But you guys know how it is. Got to make sure that she turns the volume down.
She's 91 years young.
90.
90 years
she'll be
young.
90 in October.
She's 90 years young, so she's not as hip on the technology as we are. So we always, if y'all looking back at some of the whales, that'd be like that one little moment in the beginning. We'd be like, wait, what's going on? Because we got to get grandma, because grandma got her iPhone and she's supporting at 90. So don't.
But let me tell you what she do. Listen, she advertises all the time. She be calling her friends. You got to watch the whale tonight. So grandma be on it. She is the best advertiser and promoter and marketer that we could ever have for the
at 90 years old.
Anyway, listen, take a moment, starting from Kim to Alvin to Hezekiah. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do and where you're from.
All right. Shout out to Grandma, the hype woman. Okay. Flavor Flav ain't got nothing on you.
Okay.
Nothing.
So my name is Kim B. Miller. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I currently reside in Virginia. And I am a spoken word poet, motivational speaker, and I facilitate classes on different subjects, from parenting to writing haiku to self-publishing, a lot of great stuff. Anyway, onward. So I love words, and words are things that make thoughts bleed. And I think that any word you use has power, and you have to own that power. Thank you. And believe me,
she said words are the things that, what did you say? Words make thoughts bleed. You know what? Go ahead, Kim. Go ahead, Kim. Alvin?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. My name is Alvin Campbell. I am a songwriter. Also a music producer. I have several albums out on iTunes, the latest being Interview with the Songwriter that was released in March 2020. I'm also a musician, play the organ and the keys, and there you have it.
Love it.
Go ahead, Trey. Hezekiah. I know Miss Trey, affectionately Trey. Right. Hezekiah.
Oh. Yeah, so my name is Hezekiah. I'm Hezekiah Williams III, so they call me Trey. I'm a videographer, photographer. I make videos for pretty much any kind of purpose. I work for a company that shoots sports, and for my personal work, I do weddings, short films, short advertisements, podcasts, anything of that nature. So, yep, that's me.
Dope. Well, listen, we are excited to have each one of you all here this evening. It's a great pleasure to have you guys. Listen, we also want to make sure that we know a little bit about Kim B. If you didn't know, Kim B is the creative arts director for The Whale. And so all of the artists that we have on and that come on live, they come through Kim. And Kim, you are amazing, and we just need to give you a shout out for all of the great work that you do. You're such amazing, and you Yeah, we just love you. We love you here.
Love you back. Love you back.
Wait, we can actually shout out everybody on here real quick.
Listen,
So
that's true.
Trey Hezekiah, he puts together our promotional videos as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Alvin has been at the well when we were in person, and he also just had an amazing live module, which he's branding the word module, which is a live like unplugged gospel experience, which he got about 2,500 views on it just from his page. So that man connected too.
Listen,
There you go.
It's so true. It's so true. It's so true.
So let's go ahead and dive right on into the questions. They kind of answered the first question.
It's just,
So this, how would you? Anybody can grab the question. I'm not gonna just throw it at one person. Anybody, if you feel Frog Elite, how would you describe your life for your field pre-COVID?
Yeah, what were you doing before COVID? Yeah, before COVID came, what were you doing? Where were you traveling to? What was life like in terms of? Yeah,
I'll take that one. So pre-COVID, right before things started to be canceled and stuff like that, I was filming the Golden Glove boxing tournament, like up in Baltimore, and pretty much everything was it was just completely open, I would say. And I film sports, like I said, so the kids having to play together and stuff like that and being in close quarters and all that stuff was some of the first things to get shut down. So that was a big part of my work. But yeah, it was, yeah, there we go. So working out on the field with the kids and, stuff like that. So it was pretty, it was just pretty sudden to have everything shut down at once, I guess, and pretty much everything.
Yeah. And Kim, you were even traveling a little bit, right?
Yeah, because half car will travel. So I'm not a believer. When you're in New York, you're used to driving unless you're in the city, and I'm used to going every place I need to go. So it was really sudden. Actually, my last show was in DC, and after that, it was like everything just seemed like it just shut down, and cancellations started rolling, and all the things I was booked for months in advance just started shutting down one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, and it's just like, what just happened? I had a decent schedule for June, and I had some potential other performances coming up, so it went from an exciting schedule packed, get the car packed, because I also have my products that I take with me, to ain't going nowhere. But it did switch to online.
It did switch to online because Kim also shared with them you have won some first places in some poetry slam competitions, some haiku competitions, and I'm sure as the summer was rolling up, more and more of them was probably on your schedule, and so you probably was going to grab a couple of more titles and a couple of more awards and some cash prizes.
Well, that was my hope. I was trying to go. I'm the 2019 Southern Fried Haiku champion, and I was going to go back and try to defend my title, and we didn't. We just never made it there. It was canceled, so now it's 2021. So, but in the other side, everything on Instagram has opened up for poets, and I'm going to be completely honest. When it started, I hated it. I hated it. I'm like, it's like you're talking to the screen. And it's like, that's not the same. I mean, poets, for those of you who don't know what poetry is we need that energy from the crowd. The crowd is like a wave of energy. We get that energy and we send that energy right back to you. So to go from that
you've always
to the
been big on that.
Yes. And they know when people come even to perform for us, I'm like, okay, we got the crowd warmed up. A poet doesn't like a cold stage, I call it. And we got to get the crowd to feed them. If you feed the poet will feed you. So we went to Instagram, and Instagram, I've grown to like it. I hated it at first, but I performed in Africa. I performed in Hawaii. So I've met California. I have been to California though. But so you get open to I met a group of poets I never would have met. So
That's dope. What about you, Alvin?
So 2019, my group and I and my producing partner Pete Chapman, we just finished wrapping up the production, the recording part of the album that was released in March. And so from about November to about February, we were in nonstop studio sessions, preparing for the release of the album that came in March. And my family and I, we were excited to finally take a much vacation in May, which was canceled in April. We want to take a cruise, I think an Eastern Caribbean cruise or whatever. So that was canceled. But we were pre-COVID. I was nonstop, pretty much from November till about maybe February, studio work, and then also church work as well. That was pretty much my life pre-COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, Jackie, we have a clip of Alvin's group. I just want you all to know. So Alvin, just to share a little bit about Alvin, because he's very modest. And so, Alvin has charted a good bit on the charts with prior records. He has sang with the likes, and he's conversed with the likes of, what's my man's name? Brother Carr. Kirk Carr,
Ty
Tribbett. He's being modest, but he's definitely got a name out there already that precedes him. And we have a clip of something that you did called The Module. Before we show that clip, actually, you want to talk a little bit about what that was and what brought you to that?
So it was actually, of course, everything shut down at the time of COVID. And we just released an album. So my friend James Lanier, who is on, we were talking about ways to still promote the album and still be safe. And so I think it was night I got the inspiration to start what transformed into The Module. And I studied school, the Gunnington School of the Arts in high school, Howard University, majored in music, University of Music. And every school that I went to, we would have these modules, which would be these insulated piano rooms. And when we were supposed to be practicing our classical music, Chopin, and all of those things, we'd be, me, some friends, we'd be in the room singing gospel music. And so the idea came, of of having an informal concert series that kind of mirrored those days of me and a few singers in a module singing and just playing around or whatever. And so we decided to make, and like Devon said, kind of brand that name into like maybe The Module being an informal concert series that we could do and still practice social distancing. I still want to get that because we still want to also make sure that everybody is safe. So it was our way of kind of that people are doing like made videos with their choirs and like performing on Instagram and things like that. So this was just our version of sharing our art post COVID.
Yeah. Yo, I had a chance to be a part of that, and I just thought it was so dope, man. The vibe, the energy, it was super cool. So, again, if you guys haven't checked it out, what's the name of give a shout out to the name of your album.
So the name of the album is Interview with the Songwriter. It's available on all digital media outlets. And we also have another album as well that was released in 2016 called Believe. And that's also available if you just search Alvin Campbell. Everything should pop up. We appreciate your support.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. So you want to go into the next question?
Yeah. So listen, so with COVID happening, and you guys, and Kim kind of talked about this a little bit, but you know, Trey, I know I've talked to you personally, and I know business kind of got a little hard for a little while, and it's kind of like you're still kind of trying to bounce back. So has there been any kind of way for you to draw inspiration from what's happening with COVID, and in the world right now?
Can I add a little bit?
Yeah.
Or did it
go
make
ahead.
you become even more innovative on how you market your business now?
Yeah,
Because you're not going out now. You gotta come up with strategic and smart and new and innovative ways to like
Right.
do what you do and not
Right.
sick. Because I know your bills didn't stop just because COVID started.
Right. I mean, it's I would say both of those things. Yeah, and I've had to draw inspiration from. I guess in the beginning, I was just kind of stuck in for a while, and being stuck in, I bought a PlayStation. Like I hadn't played video games in years, and I ended up getting like Need for Speed was like the only game I got, and like I always like cars, so I started thinking and stuff like that, designing cars on the game. But like I started thinking about like getting people that modify their cars, like I guess in the real world, to do promotion videos and stuff like that. They might want to get them on film and stuff like that. So things that I can kind of do, and it might be a singular person at a distance, and trying to identify things that are a little more, I guess, just distance apart. Jobs that can be done at a certain kind of distance. And with what was your question, Devon? I'm sorry.
I said, so even with you drawing inspiration from COVID, what was the other way? So drawing inspiration, how did you come up with innovative and strategic ways to still do your business and operating your gifts during COVID when the world got shut down?
So still coming up with ways to do the business and stuff. I had to, I guess, looking at the markets and stuff that I have, or like the people that I follow on Instagram and the people that have different things going on, being able to locate, find, and I guess contact, connect with people online, or you know what I mean, just in that kind of format, and that's been the biggest thing, I would say, because I haven't been able to do most of the larger event type things that I usually do, you know.
So Kim, grab that, because I guess Alvin already answered that question. We're coming up with the module. I like how we're flowing here, you know, like questions are being answered before they're even asked, and that means there's a good flow here and there's some great energy. So Kim, will Kim answer that too? Cause
Yeah.
She traveling around the world.
Yeah. No, it's cool. So I was going to say, Kim. So right, there's not just COVID, but there's also the racial tension, Black Lives Matter happening, things like that. So was that a part of, and this is actually for all of you all, but I'll start with Kim, was that a part of the consciousness of your artwork before this, and how are you responding to what's happening at this moment? Is there a way to incorporate that into what you're doing?
As a poet, yes, it's always, you know, because we write poems about everything. And when it happened, you know, the poetry world, there were, you know, if there were 1,000 poems before that, there's 2 million poems now. We have never not touched on the subject. We've always been preaching about Black Lives Matter in one form and another. And unfortunately, to go through the list of hashtags, we don't have a show long enough, which is really sad, but it's the truth of the situation. So yeah, poets have been talking about this for a while. So now, did I specifically speak on George Floyd? No, but I did write a poem regarding it and the hypocrisy that the United States has. Basically, part of the poem is that we went to China to talk about human rights, and China threw the black card on the table and said, "Kettle, how many pots have you shot today? Come back when your backyard is not full of headstones." Yeah. So it was a poem, and you know, so we are addressing it, and it's one of those things where you don't want to beat people to death with it, because we need some relief too. You know, poets write for strength and to help, but you also don't want to go to an event where there's 20 poems about how, you know, this one got killed and this one got assassinated and this one, then this one, because then it's overwhelming. Then it becomes a trigger. It's not a poem, it's a trigger. So we try to make sure we write our truth in the ways that it edifies. Yes, some of it is going to be blunt and some of it's going to be hurtful and some of it is going to be trigger warning, but a lot of it is informative, because when I teach, I think poetry is teaching, and you tell people more information in a poem because they're willing to hear it in that format. So it can
Mm,
really be a way of conveying a message that someone won't eat unless you feed it to them in poetic chunks.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Alvin, kind of the same question. I mean, you know, you're doing, and how do you categorize your music? Is it gospel that you would categorize it in? Is it, or do you
I,
leave it open? Or
I, I primarily categorize it as gospel. I think it's gospel, I would say.
okay, okay, move it. And so, do you find today's issues, the right, the March for Civil Rights, the protests of Black Lives Matter, do you find that that inspires you at all, or is that something that is a little more, you know, out there, and you kind of just focus more internally on the message of the word? And is that something that even crosses over?
For me, I try to write, especially when I'm writing on when I'm, I guess, divinely, if I could say that, divinely inspired to write. So during this time of civil unrest, I wasn't inspired to write anything that was specifically geared toward, you know, what was going on. But music per se is always tied to social movements. Think back to maybe James Brown, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud," to maybe Marvin Gaye, you know, going on. So there's always movement. There's always music attached to to movements. I personally haven't contributed to that, you know.
But you know, it's so interesting you say that, because I mean, though I'm here listening to you, and I'm thinking, though, the message of salvation, the message of Christ, the message of God, right, the message of liberation, to me, isn't that a part of what you're doing, and a message that you think needs to be sung about and heard during this moment of civil unrest? You know?
Of course, but I think that message is prepared, always been going on.
Hmm.
Before it, you know, during it, and of course after it. So, you our voices need to be heard, but I don't think that that message. I don't think that what was going on socially started that message. The message of Christ of that salvation, a message going on probably since he died from the cross, maybe even before
Yeah,
then. You know,
yeah, yeah. Do you think that if people heard? Do you think that if people were more in tune with that message, that we would be, as a country, in the place we are now?
wow, that's a great question. Um, and I don't want to answer this on camera, but I will. um, I think that, oh God, I'm gonna hate myself. But the message of Christ is probably not going to be for everybody. I don't think that when the world dies, or everybody in the world dies, they'll die Christian. Some people are going to be devout, whatever they are now, whether it's Muslim or Buddhist. So I can't say. I think the message of Christ is a positive message, but I think that there are also other positive messages out there that people can grab and be inspired to as well.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
love Jesus, y'all.
Listen, I love that answer, though, because it's the unchurched church,
Hmm.
and I think we have to give people a realness, and not paint the pretty picture that everyone tries to paint. Right, and I'm gonna follow up with that in a second. So you stay right there. I want to hear from Hezekiah a little bit, but I got more, Alvin. No, you ain't off the hook yet, but I'm gonna make sure it's open up. Trey, we're going to you. I know Javon probably got some questions. But Trey, as well for
Yeah.
you, have you seen the elements of the civil unrest that we're in, the Black Lives Matter movement? You know, are there people that are looking for you to be behind the scenes, or to paint a picture of that through your lens?
Yeah. So I would say several artists, whether they're music artists or I guess physical visual artists, have different. I guess have reached out to me about things. I just did a music video last week with a guy. More so, it wasn't really centered around Black Lives Matter as much as brotherly love. I guess it was a video with him and his brother. I guess that goes along with the same line of thought, I would say. But yeah, uh, and I've seen a whole lot of people, like some of my friends that are in the photography now. They've been out there like with the protests and all that stuff, and I haven't. But a lot of people have been out there like telling the story, I guess, through the lens. I like what Alvin said though, about the message of Christ not necessarily being for everybody. Like I feel a little bit freer to speak on that because I'm a videographer but a political scientist first, and I really think that a lot of people, regardless of what religion they belong to, come to the same conclusion. I think that's what it is. Whether it's that you follow Christ or whether it's that you follow, whatever, it's that you come to the conclusion to be a charitable and respectful, like, person that doesn't murder and kill people. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. And when they close their eyes, where they go is, nobody knows. So that's what I think.
Y'all getting deep on
Listen.
it. I'm not touching these things. You keep going.
You
go ahead.
listen, but I'm gonna tell you.
I go to church. Y'all get me put out. Y'all go to talk.
But I think it's interesting because you leave it to the encounter with creative artists to stretch people's imaginations past just accepting something. And I stand firm, right? Like, yeah, I'm a self-proclaimed Christian. I follow the way of Jesus Christ, but I also love some of the practices of Buddha and Buddhism. I think I think they intertwine so much. Some of the same things that Buddha sort of talked about, you find that Christ actually talked about. And so those are conversations we don't always want to have, but that's why this is the Unchurched Church. So I'll take a moment and pause to say, if you're liking this right now, making sure that you share this on your page. Go like the Amplify Network page, like the Encounter the Well page. Send this link to your friends, and I want to see you in the conversation. I want to give a shout out to Aunt Jenny, who's on, Somalia, who's on, Danny is on, and a couple other folks who've been on and kind of just commenting and say, hey, what's up? So I want to keep right there. Now, at the Well, we brought Kim in as our creative arts director.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a piece, right? I felt like it was important to have a creative arts director. Javon and I, our whole squad, talked about this because most churches, and Alvin, you served as a minister, a director of music for many churches over the last couple of years. My question is, though, do you all think collectively and individually that churches respect and honor the arts as much as it could, the actual institutional church? Do you think it respects and honors the creativity of artists as much as it could and should?
I had another facet to that, but I'm going to let that go. Okay. I was going to say, do they respect the arts if they're not benefiting the church?
Oof.
No.
Oof.
Okay.
Open house.
Kim said no.
I say no because... Go ahead.
Go ahead. Quick.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kim.
I think no on both because it's I've already, well, not on this particular broadcast, but I've already talked that poets are the last horse over the fence. And what I mean by that is when people think of paying people, they'll pay for the venue, they'll pay for the caterer. But when it comes to poets, it's like you can get exposure. My bank account needs exposure too. My bills need exposure too. And for some reason, the poet is the last person paid, or they're considered an extra. And even in some church programs, I've seen that, the poetry program is the first one cut, or the poetry program is one of the ones that have the least bit of importance. But even outside of poetry, artistry as a whole, I think, is on the back burner in some churches. Nothing is complete with all churches, but in general, it is, because people forget without art, there's no artist. And if you ask me, God was a poet. So you don't want to get rid of the poetry or the words that connect people, because without that, there's no church, there's no gathering, whatever you call it, there's no that. And at soon as COVID hit, it is the artist that kept the country going. It was the free concerts at home. It was all the free programming. It was some of the old programmings that were repeated. So people talk about the artist as an addition when really we should be a multiplication.
Hmm.
Kim, you keep trying to drop these nuggets on people's heads. We can't. Should be an addition, and instead of they should have been an addition.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alvin, because you jumping at this one. I can see it.
I've I've seen it on multiple points in the spectrum. I've seen some churches where music was completely devalued. I've also been connected with some churches that music was greatly valued. So I think it depends on where that specific. I don't think we can say that um, conclusively. I think it depends on the church and the influences of the church. If you have a musical, I would say maybe a musical pastor who wants to invest in it, then you probably see more, and not just I won't say music, but art. You know, because in my opinion, the music department should consist of more than just singing. There are liturgical dancers, like she said. There's poetry. There are more instruments that can be played in church other than organ, drums, keys, and bass. You know, and so, but I've played in churches where we had we played on a regular with complete orchestras. You know, with violins and cellos and all of that things. And then I've played also in churches where like the lady was saying, you know, I'm sorry, like Kim was saying, you know, we're not willing to spend this much money on other musicians. So you got, you know, so, but I've seen it on on several points of the spectrum. So, you know, I hope I answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. I mean, listen, and Hezekiah, you have, a lot of your work has come from the church, or at least some of your work has come from the church. I've seen where you've done
Right.
weddings, you've done some things there. How do you think that the church, the institutional church, honors your profession and your creativity?
Yeah, I would say my profession, in particular, does seem to be a little more appreciated, but it depends on in what facets you're talking about. I guess when it comes to churches, I guess maybe just putting in the money and like the training or whatever it is to kind of build programs and stuff like that to do that kind of videography in the church themselves. It depends on who it is. Because I've seen Gethsemane has done a good job of going in that direction and starting a communications department, but some other churches won't necessarily make that move. And like Alvin said, it really depends on what church it is, what the influences are, who the people are that actually and what they care about. Because I would say at Gethsemane, we used to care a lot about the arts. We had like a lot of great choirs, good, arts program and everything else. So it just depends on who's running the program, I guess.
That's
Right.
what's up. Look, yeah. So you said it depends on the leadership, basically,
Yeah,
who
the leadership and
has the
whoever it
ear
is.
and the keen discernment to
Right,
say, hey, the arts is what's driving people here, and through that, because
right,
I guess like the music to some places is just like the beautification of it, and then you bring them in, and then you get the good songs, you get the good music, and then you give them a good word, and you send them out, right? Right. Okay. So the next one is, in your opinion, how can the church best support the creative arts? Like, if there's not doing as much, or if you don't think it's doing as much or honor it as much, what is in your opinion, how could they do better?
Yeah. And I think that's a good question because you might be able to suggest to a couple of folks who are watching now who might be of a church that are like, how do we even begin to evaluate that process for our church?
If, I guess I'll start. I think it takes um, having open-minded people that can see outside of the box and kind of see, and that also have their foot or their feet in different places. Okay, we can also incorporate this. Let's have spoken word, or let's have dance instead of just praise and worship, or just um, you know whatever style of genre of music the church, the church has. There's a great movement of hymns disappearing out of the church. So I think that on like if we want to be contemporary, we can be contemporary, but let's also be traditional. Let's also be classical. Let's also be jazz. Let's also be other things. And it just takes employing people with that kind of mindset.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's hard because I know a lot of churches don't even know, when you tell someone spoken word and they're like, do you do that at church? People don't even know poetry is part of a church program. So, and then there's not just poetry. I'm speaking of poetry, obviously, because I'm a poet. There's poeting, there's dancing, there's different forms of talent that you can have in the church or whatever you like to call your service. So the first thing you may want to look at is what is available that I may not be aware of. And then you can
Right.
open your eyes. You may say, hey, I didn't even know there was such a thing as Christian poetry or something of that nature. Maybe that's something I could look into. Or dance. There's dance for church or whatever type of service you have. So the first thing you want to do is ask yourself, what are you aware of? And if you're not aware of the different things that are out there, becoming more aware, becoming more open to the different art forms that are out there that are used to worship. Because really, if ultimately your goal, if you're a Christian, is to bring more people to Christ, and that poem will do it, that dance will do it, that music will do it, don't you want to facilitate everything possible to have that person have that magical moment, whatever type of service you have, if it's Jewish, it doesn't matter what it is. You want to find something that identifies with the person who's sitting there. And sometimes having a person preach or talk, whatever type of sermon or whatever you call that, is not enough. Some people need something else. And if you reach out to people where they're at, you'd be shocked at how you reach them. It's not that you don't reach people on Sunday, but you reach a lot more on Monday.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Because I have been to a church.
Um,
I grew up at Greater Mount Calvary, which is in DC. And I remember when I was young, this was something that was really, really innovative and that like really grabbed me. During service, they had I think it was called Act Two Ministry, where they had a group of actors that would get up and do a Christian-based skit in front of the church, and it really, really was innovative, and you really was like into it, like, oh my God, it'd be about 4 or 5 minutes or about a 6-minute skit, but it really drove home the message of salvation or of Christ in that moment, and it was something different. So everybody was like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what they doing up there, all this movement and stuff? This ain't nobody singing, because it kind of threw me off at first, and then I was like, oh wow, that's what's up. That is what's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to go to the next question?
Well, I think Trey was going to chime in.
well, I like what Ms. Kim was saying. I think that allowing the church or the congregation to have exposure to the things that they might not know exist. And one of the biggest things that I think that is important, or that would be a great thing for the church to do to support, is to allow those artists a platform to teach inside of the church somehow. I know going around and doing different events and stuff like that, sometimes I'll come across a kid. It might be 10 years old, it might be 8 years old, like a little bit too small to hold the camera, but I'll hold it up there for him, and he might take it and start messing with the focus knob. He knows what to do just naturally. And you'd be surprised, like Ms. Kim said, when you meet people where they are, and just how much you can teach somebody, what their interest might be. You know what I mean? Because you never really know somebody. I think I just started taking pictures with a cell phone whenever phones started having cameras, and I was the person that would take pictures for my friends because they would come out nice. And you never really know who's going to be into what, who could grab onto what, and that's something that could be a good platform for the church to support.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and Trey Hezekiah has done some great work. I know Jackie has a clip of him that he sent in of just like just a visual component. So I don't know if she has it queued up, but it'd be great. Yeah, no, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
The clarity
Oh,
is so clear. I think I was
Yeah,
thank
like,
you.
yo, can I hire you right now?
What you say,
I want
Alvin?
Uh,
What you saying?
I
yeah.
want
So
that hoodie.
I actually
That hoodie was
wrote
dope.
and oh yeah, no, I actually wrote and put that one together, but it was shot by a guy down there at Fayetteville State University. His Instagram is VANNYLON, but his name is Demi. He's real talented. I got him to shoot it for me, so that was the one time I had somebody shoot something for me. But it's real good.
And so just imagine like how many youth these days in this social media picture driven world we live in would love to have like a youth photo ministry in a church. See, people never even thought to do that. Like what?
Yeah.
But teach them photography and let them take pictures of the service so the service can be shot through the lens of the youth.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I mean, until we just were talking right now, I just thought about it. I was like, that is so dope.
I mean, but even with what we do with the well, you know, Hezekiah has shot like 2 commercials for us. He's working on the
Third
second
one.
and third, and I think, you know, like I don't really see a lot of churches do even do commercials. But before COVID, most churches weren't even doing websites. Like you had to argue and struggle with people just to do a basic website for a church. I think
Yeah.
COVID
You
has
know what?
taught.
Because God will provide.
You know, for real, that's the
Or
kind of mentality they have. But I mean, so that's the place where I think we lack. And so you guys got all into your fields. How? Like, what's the background of how you got there? Was there education? Was it formal education? Was it, you know, somebody taught you? Did you just pick up and start to go? How did you get to the place you are now with what you're doing? Trey, go ahead.
Uh, yeah, I'll answer first since it's probably the most simple. I made an expensive purchase and I didn't know what I was getting into necessarily. I bought a drone, and I didn't know that to use it for paying jobs that you needed a license. So I ended up taking a class and yeah, I got my pilot's license and I got a camera from the pawn shop after that because you can't really fly in DC and do too many jobs here and like in this area. So I'd have to go North Carolina, Virginia, places to do that. So I ended up getting a normal camera, and yeah, I started shooting just events and stuff like that for people. And I guess once I got to doing bridal photos, engagement photos, then it turned into doing wedding. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, because most people don't know, DC in this area, because we're so close to the capital, is a no-fly zone. So you actually have to get a permit from the FAA to fly anywhere
Yeah.
in this area. A drone that I think if it goes up to like 300 feet in the air, if they catch
Mhm.
it, that's like a felony. That's like a
Yeah.
felony. So yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
it
a video.
is.
I'm about to release a video in a
It's
couple weeks that we used the drone for, but we had to go to Waldorf to shoot it because of the drone rules. Alvin, Kim, how did you get into what you're doing? How did you learn about music and poetry?
Well, I probably started like everybody in church. Um, but there was a lot of education. I started taking formal lessons in junior high. And from there, I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts for high school. College, I studied music first at Howard University, my first 2 years of undergrad were at Howard University studying music. And then my last 2 years were at the University of UDC. I graduated in 2013, and even now I'm applying to grad school to go get my Master's of Arts, so I can teach music in school. So it started in church, but there was a lot of formal education involved.
Did you know Kamala? I was just joking.
Because he was stuck.
Oh,
He was like,
man.
I know who. Like he was trying to figure out when he was a girl on campus. Like,
Right.
Well, I know several Kamalas, you know. So
he like,
Oh,
what Kamala
wow.
you? I didn't know that many people had that name.
Met another, yeah.
What'd you say, Trey?
I mean, never met her. I was gonna say never met another. I've never heard of another Kamala.
I know, right? Like, ain't too many people that I know named Kamala too. So, Alvin, you got me, man. No, but it's dope. So, Duke Ellington and Howard, and DC, UDC, man. So you definitely have studied your craft, really tried to perfect what you know, and so you take that into your music. Do you recommend that all artists take their craft that seriously?
I don't think that to be great, you have to. I know many great musicians that I can't tie their shoe, and that they have this phenomenal talent and they can't read music. But I do think that for me, I can say that my gift and my talent opened up whenever I was involved in that type of environment. When you surround yourself with other like-minded individuals, you know,
Mm,
I can say that my gift opened up, but I don't think that I should be great.
yeah.
So Kim, tell us, how did you get started in poetry?
And Jackie, get ready to play a clip from Kim. But go ahead, Kim.
This is going to be a strange story, and I know it sounds strange because it is strange. Anyway, so I've always written. My mother said I've always done two things: dance, and I was always a writer. So when I lived in New York, I said I'm going to Harlem because we New Yorkers will tell you either stay your butt home or keep writing. So I said I'm going to Harlem Bookstore. It was called Human. And I said, they either tell me to put my pen down or push me off stage. It wasn't as bad as the Apollo, but yeah, they was going to tell you how it was. Anyway, long story short, I went. It was fantastic. They loved the poem I did. I got excellent feedback. Everybody was very nice, and some of them weren't so nice when other people were talking, so I know they were being genuine. But when I say I stopped that day, I stopped that day. I never went to perform again. I stopped writing. I stopped poetry in its entirety. I have no explanation as to why. When I moved to Virginia, I think it was maybe a year after I moved, I felt that the Lord told me now was the time. And I was like, time for what? Poetry? What? So I was
Wow.
like, oh, okay. So I went to this fantastic place in Manassas, Spirits and Lyrics. And I went to, because, I can't do anything regular, I went to try out for a slam. I can't go in like a normal person and go to open mics. So I went to try out for a slam, and I made it. I was the only woman in that slam. I didn't win,
Wow.
but I was happy to be a finalist to make it to the slam. So why poetry? I think poetry for me it's the light that brings it's the light that it conquers all darkness. I believe God is a poet, and when I read the Bible, I hear the poetry in it. And for those of you who aren't Christians, I'm not saying because you're not a Christian you don't hear poetry. Poetry is what you make it. So don't let anybody define what poetry is for you. That's the beauty of it, the openness of it, the undefinability of it. So the thing I love about it most is that it's whatever you decide it's going to be.
Yeah. Can we play that clip, Jackie, of Kim doing her poetry?
What does an atrocity look like? Well, I can tell you what it smells like. It smells like the air we breathe because we see it so often. We would give you our definition, but you would just rewrite it and script it and call it your scripture. That's happened to us before. Remember we took a knee and you said it was all about the flag? We're used to our purposes getting re-scriptured to fit your description. I really need to ask our Native American brothers and sisters. You see, they've been carrying the torch a lot longer than we have. They got the burn marks to prove it. It was the land of the free and the home of the brave way before you landed on their shores. Then you came aboard and had them made reservations on their reservation. And what about us? Told us we were nothing but slaves, slated our history so it suit you, rewrote our past so we were limited. We don't drink that Kool-Aid anymore, and you don't get to write our story in that watermelon ink. We will write our truths. And the truth right now is we want freedom. We are not asking you to be our best friend. We are asking for freedom. Isn't this the land of the free and the home of the brave? So what's the problem? Or is freedom only for a few? The hunt is on, and we are sick of being the hunted. People of color have been hunted for the simplest of things, like breathing, like thinking, like disagreeing. We don't want to fight. We want to live. Where are you going to fall on the side of history? Are you going to pause at this point and make your point? Or you're going to make the point for freedom? When your point loses its point, why are you still pointing?
Your point loses its point. It's time to stop pointing. Go ahead. Stop pointing.
Listen, I don't got nothing to say. Listen, so I want to ask this question as we're kind of coming to a close, but what's next? I mean, we have seen 2020 has been a crazy year. You know, we've seen COVID. We saw Kobe Bryant. We saw BLM. We've seen this crazy political world that we're in. Where do you go as an artist next? You know, how do you take this moment and even see beyond the now? What's going to happen?
I would say mainly the next thing would be just to find new and better ways to do what we've already been doing. I mean, and just continue to find better ways to do it. I don't exactly know what kind of projects it is that I'll be doing, but I just know that it'll be something in the mode of just being able to space out and get it done still. And really, for me, that's all it is. Whether it's telling people stories, and I feel like with the election and everything else coming up, that I want to not distract away from, you know what I mean, like a whole lot of stuff with like the media that I put out, and like have people actually focus on just getting registered and going out to vote. But
Trey, Hezekiah, as we're being formal, are you going down and doing any freelancing for the March on Washington on the 28th?
I am not, to be completely honest with. On the 28th of this month?
Yeah.
Is that the weekend? Is it a
No,
weekend?
it's
Friday.
He don't know nothing about the March on Washington. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I didn't mean to control you like that on the live. I thought.
No, but it'd be dope if you do.
I mean, I will put it out
you.
there. I don't usually do like, public events
It's the
and
Million Man
stuff
March.
like that necessarily, but always the Million Man. Okay, yeah, I can.
Trey, how can people?
I got a
You've
homeboy
got
that
some-
does that every year. Like I get to look at his pictures, but it's cool.
You've got some great work, and again, it's been a pleasure to work with you. And so, for people who are tuned in to this encounter, just to let you all know, like Hezekiah was in our youth ministry back when we were
At Gethsemane,
in ministry at Gethsemane.
Yeah.
We're in ministry with Gethsemane now, but we were in ministry at Gethsemane. And so, to see you sort of come this whole road, me and Javon and I have watched you grow up. And I don't think we could be prouder, man, because you're doing some amazing work. How can people follow you, and how can they get in contact with you? Because, people are going to want to get some visual stuff done. What's the best way to contact you, and what's the name of your company?
So the name of my company is Straight Cut Productions. It's not this, but it's Straight Cut Productions. You can find me on Instagram at Young Black Rico. It's YUNG Black Rico with an underscore at the end. Pretty much all of my work is on my Instagram. I have my website linked on my Instagram as well. So that's a great way to get in contact with me, just by message. I reply to messages, and I'm on my phone all the time. I'm sitting here grabbing for it constantly.
What is your website?
My website is www.sc, that's scproductions.myportfolio.com. SC Productions,
scproductions.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Alvin, big superstar, big gospel man with the module, man. What's next, brother? I mean, came on here looking like he was a superstar of the century tonight, bro. I'm trying to tell you. I want to borrow your fit. It probably can't fit me, but I still want to borrow it just so I can hang it in my closet.
What you trying to say?
Nah, I mean, listen, Alvin got a lot more muscle than me.
Oh,
His muscles
okay.
ripping through that shirt, man. I'm a skinny dude.
I'm not gonna lie here this is not. We're gonna tell the truth and shame. You know that all the time.
Alvin, what's next, man? I mean, I know you got superstar plans. What's next?
More haters. More music. They're going to be, you can reach us. Like I said, we have music available on iTunes or any digital media outlet, iTunes, Google Play, whatever you got, wherever you want to reach us, you can reach us there. Or you can also reach us periodically. We'll do the module. We're preparing for our second installment sometime in early September. Early September. So what's next? More music, more art, more ministry, more entertainment, more victories. Some
Mm.
there's gonna be, but we will take it and keep on moving.
Yeah, and they
Exactly.
can find Alvin Campbell and Total Praise, correct?
Yes, Instagram, Alvin Camp, everything spelled the regular way. Alvin and Total Praise on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, AC Total Praise, or the module on Instagram, the underscore module. You can find us. Just search my name. We'll be there. Keep us in your prayers. We're trying to keep pushing.
Okay.
And so, Kim, with you electronically traveling all over the world these days, you've been to Africa and you've been all these places. What's next for you? Like, are there any?
Is there anything left?
Yeah, because you conquering everything. I mean, electronically. I mean, you say you meet people in Africa now. Like, excuse me.
It's been interesting and fun and great and all that good stuff. But
And how can
hopefully
they
it's
reach you?
okay. You can reach me on all social media. I am Kim B. Miller. No matter what social media, that's what I am. I am Kim, just the letter B, Miller on also all social media. And to your question of what should people be doing now, it's if you're not working, focus on building your brand. If you are working, focus on building your brand. If you want a brand, focus on building your brand. First, you got to understand what your brand is. What is it you're trying to sell? What is it you're trying to put forth? But this is the time for fine tuning. For those of you who have time, try to use this time as wisely as you can because we ask God all the time for time to do stuff. And some of us have taken this time and used it wisely, and some of us haven't. Now, if you've been one of those people who have wasted time, it's not time to beat yourself up. It's time to say, now's the day, today's the day I make that change. Because we ask for things thinking we won't get it, and then we get it, and we look for a new excuse to sidestep it. So no more sidestepping your dreams. If you have that time, work on it. A brand is only a brand if you work on it.
Mm. Still being poetic, and I mean, it just flows like, I would love to see. I would love to do like a well compilation, like get Kim and Alvin, have Hezekiah come and shoot it, do some stuff with Amplify, like just a big like.
And we're gonna go ahead and plan that then.
Sounds like a plan to me. I think it's something in the works,
some
right?
artists like that, yeah. He'll record it. She'll give some spoken word between his songs with Total Praise, and you'll host it, and I'll be the cameraman like I was last time for the module.
Listen, I keep telling this guy with his bubbly personality, he might as well go ahead and do some other stuff, but we'll talk about that later. Listen, I have enjoyed you guys tonight. It's been real cool, real smooth. Y'all are real smooth people, real chill people. Again, if you've watched this, definitely go like the Amplify Network. We want to give a shout out to the Amplify Network because they have done so well in keeping us out to the public view. So yeah, shout out to Jackie and Terrence. Listen, we've got two more encounters coming this month. Some dope stuff we're going to talk about next week. We're going to get into that whole faith and school conversation that's been happening around the country. So that's going to be pretty deep. And then after that, we're going to talk about incarceration and faith through incarceration. And we got an amazing panel coming on. So you don't want to miss either one. I want to give a shout out to Mama Annie, Brother Louise, Sister Carolyn Wilson, and Brother Walter, Dr. Walter Lundy for joining us tonight. I see you guys. Listen, I love that. I love that, Jackie. Okay. So listen, and we want you to tune in with us next week and then the week after, and just follow us on all of our social media platforms at Encounter the Well. I'm sorry, I'm just with what's going on the bottom of the screen. See, listen, Jackie told us it's gonna be something new. We didn't know this was gonna be, so I'm like geeked up right now at what's going on. But at Encounter the Whale on all of our social media. Our website,
www.encounterthewhale.org.
And take a look at our 2020 campaign, which we're just launching. We're doing something we think is great for the community and beyond. So please, 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 please check it out. But we love you guys. We're honored that you were with us tonight. And we hope to see you soon, and that God bless you. Yes, if you want to join in with us in giving, please text to give at 84321, any dollar amount. You can text to give, but you go on our website and go to the last tab that says give. And again, you'll find out more about our 2020 campaign and how you can partner with us in being able to bless the community that surrounds us. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, we love you all, and we hope you have a good night.
And thank you for our artists who all shared in our panel tonight. We give you we already did that, didn't we? Clap them up for them. Peace. Well, I'm just taking this.
Just think.
You like it froze.
That was kind of dope. Like I was even, yeah. So